Hello everyone, Time to Grind here, and today I wanted to talk about Islands of Nyne again. And last time I talked about it, I was gushing on the game and talking about how it was the best Battle Royale game I have ever played, and that is still true to an extent, but if you guys have been following the game, or you guys are fans of the game and you've been trying to play, you can tell that things aren't going really right. The player base has just been dropping down from the all-time peak of 7,272 when it first came out to, on average, a 24-hour peak of around 200 players, and it keeps dropping. And keep in mind that 200 players is across different, regions which are being split up, and this is a Battle Royale game, so, you need a huge chunk of people per game, so that's about like 4 games-ish, 3 to 4 games at any given moment that are being ran, and people are just sitting in the, pre-game gun game lobby unable to find games. I've seen clips of a couple Twitch streamers trying to try out the game again, and they just are sitting in the pre-game lobby for tons of time and they never get in a game. So obviously they can't really play the game, and then it makes it worse because, people watching the stream aren't going to try out the game because the game is clearly dead to them, and, stuff like that. And so I kind of wanted to talk about if I truly think Islands of Nyne is dead, and if so, why I think it is that way. And first off, I want to address the developers have kind of made a couple statements, mainly in the Discord, and, there is a kind of whole different conversation of the way they're doing community feedback. They've chosen to have Discord be their primary way to communicate, like, announcements and stuff like that, and that's fine, but the Discord itself is just a complete joke. I mean, there are so many trolls, there are so many, just people like spamming general and stuff like that, and it's really hard to take it seriously. That's why, whenever they do post something on the Reddit, it is a lot more official to me, mainly because that's how I'm used to people communicating, is through Reddit or their Twitter or, something like that, or having their own blog or something like that. But overall, they're kind of a little quiet on the subreddit. But either way, they've talked about how, this is early access. They, it's not the end of the days for them. They need to, their priorities are to kind of fix the game, make the game, a lot more better, and then kind of start worrying about the player base. But in the last post that one of the devs made about 12 hours ago as of recording this video, it was called "In Response to Genuine Concerns About the Player Count." And in it, he talks about, the fact that obviously it's not optimal to have this few players, and they are going to try to do a couple things to fix the player count short term, but overall they need to fix the game and work on the game before they kind of do a huge push to try to increase the player base, because, obviously they need to fix the game, and this is kind of what it's a pattern I'm kind of seeing in a lot of multiplayer early access games. They're like, oh, don't worry about it, we need to get the game to a good place where people are good with it, and then we're going to start marketing, but then the game ends up dying before then. So, honestly, I have stopped playing Islands of Nyne, not because of the player base, but just because of a couple reasons, I think, which are contributing to the player case being so low. And one of the biggest ones for me is obviously this Battle Royale has been advertised, and it's, been proven to be a very, very competitive Battle Royale game. And that's good to an extent, skill is really important in the game. It's really about your 1v1 gun, matches and stuff like that, and skill is really, really big. Now, the problem with that, though, is when you have a Battle Royale that is built so heavily around, like, just super competitiveness, that's kind of going against what Battle Royales do, because the whole reason Battle Royales are really popular, well, there's a couple reasons they're really popular, but one of the big reasons they're popular is everybody can jump into the game and have some sort of fun. So if you're one of the worst players ever, you could still kind of try to make it to the final circle by hiding, and say you're playing Fortnite, hide and craft, little bases and hide and craft, and, maybe you see another person and you actually kill them, and, you're really happy, and that's an accomplishment for you, and that's what you have fun, is, kind of playing a little bit, and if you get a single kill, that game was worth it to you. Then obviously there's people that can consistently get wins, and, they're just destroying other people, but the whole thing is because there's so many people, and everybody kind of is randomly distributed through the map, that even really bad players can have some fun. You can really find some type of fun to have, and that's really good. But in in Islands of Nyne, that doesn't exist. If you're a bad player, you can't really have the best of time, because you're just going to spawn in and you're going to immediately die, and then you're going to spawn in and you're going to immediately die. And I personally was being able to decently consistently get at least in the top 3. You know, I had a bunch of wins. I've played for about 20 hours, I think, but I had a couple wins, but I was consistently able to make it most of the time, or, you know, probably 50% of the time in the top 3, or at least like top 8, I'll say. But that doesn't make it not frustrating. I mean, I think this game has frustrated me more than any other video game has in my life, because you spend 3 minutes in the pre-game lobby, you know, searching, then you're dropping, then you finally land, and then you die instantly. And then you go re-queue, you go back in the gun game lobby, then you're falling from the map, and then you land, and then you die. And I mean, it can happen. There's been times where it just happened like 4 to 5 different times. And obviously, you know, I could be better. I'm sure there are people that aren't dying a billion times, but I would consider myself decently above average, but that's besides the point. There are a lot of people that are either average or below average that they just can't enjoy this game. There is no fun to be had for this game for most of them. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions, but I mean, how is it fun for them to just keep dropping and dying, dropping and dying, dropping and dying? Because at least when they play Fortnite or even PUBG to an extent, because of the fact that it's so big of a map and it's so the matches are a lot longer, that they have a lot more opportunities to actually have fun. I mean, there are some squads that, you know, they're all terrible players, but they squad up together, they get in like a buggy, they just drive around, and, you know, they have fun, and maybe they get in one team fight or whatever, and that's fun for them, whether they die or not. But because of the fact that Islands of Nyne is so fast-paced and so competitive, there's not really an opportunity for casual players like that to actually have fun. And obviously, in order to have a popular game, you need a casual player base. Obviously, games can be really competitive, like Dota or League of Legends or CSGO, but you need to have a casual player base, other the way the game's not going to survive, because games are, honestly, the casual player base is really important, even if they're balancing around competitive play. And that's what Islands of Nyne doesn't have right now. And on top of that, this is just kind of my opinion, but it doesn't feel like it has a really solid theme. I mean, you play Fortnite, and the theme and the tone of the game is silly and goofy and colorful, and that theme and tone really just match and come together. When you're playing PUBG, I mean, it just feels like this super hardcore, you know, I'm going to say realistic, but obviously the game's not realistic, but, you know, it seems like this super realistic, hardcore military shooter. And then you play Islands of Nyne, and it's like, well, it's sci-fi kind of, but then you have normal guns, and you then have like a coliseum here. And at first I liked the concept, but after playing through the map, it just felt like it was just a bunch of assets thrown on a map, and, you know, they built the theme around that. They're like, oh, well, it was an alien museum, and, you know, they assembled all of the Earth things, and then they throw you in there. But it doesn't really have a solid theme or tone or really anything, because there is the whole sci-fi tone, but then where are the sci-fi weapons? We're using normal weapons, and, you know, we're kind of just on Earth, so then you know what I mean? It feels very forced, and it doesn't feel very good. And I think those are two of some of the biggest reasons the game is dying. And obviously I'm not going to say, oh, the game's dead, no chance for it, because we've seen, I mean, No Man's Sky, that game was really dead. I mean, that was really popular before it came out. It was abysmal. It instantly was just, yeah, I mean, it is kind of a single-player game, so it's a little different here, especially because Islands of Nyne is a battle royale game that relies on having a ton of people. But, you know, they relaunched the game, or not relaunched, but did a huge mega update, and people really love that game, and that game is really popular right now. So, obviously, I'm not going to say the game has no chance of recovering, but it is definitely practically dead, if not getting there. And as much as, you know, it pains me, because I do think it was one of the more better, you know, battle royale games, I'm now realizing, especially in myself, the reasons why it is kind of losing its player bases. And I think the biggest reason is that casual thing, and second is the theme. But obviously that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions, you know, in the comments down below, because part of fun of making these videos is, you know, not only talking at you guys, but the conversation that comes afterwards. So let me know in the comments down below whether you've, you know, watched streamers play it or you've played it yourself. I'd love to hear it. But if you guys enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. New videos come out every Wednesday and Sunday. And like always, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.